Okay, today's message is how good is your name and how good is your word. You know, I've been dealing with some stuff for a little over 4.5 years now with doctors and lawyers. And if you've had to deal with lawyers, it gets frustrated. They tell you one thing and they don't come through. And some of us Christians, they call ourselves Christians, will even say they're going to help you out or do something. And you say, you know, I'll give you my word. And sometimes our wording's not that good, and that's why I'm asking you, how good is your name and how good is your word? Can friends count on you and family? Can your husband or wife depend on you? When you say, don't worry, I'll be there, will you? Or do you always come up with an excuse? You know, we got somebody, we all know somebody like that. It could be possibly you were like that. Do you have a friend or family member whose name and their word is crap? You know, like, we've all dealt with people like that. You know, like, oh no, man. Why did they show up, or who called them, or why? The Bible tells us about King Solomon. It says he was the wisest man to ever live. So let's see what he has to say about this subject, about your word and your name. When you give a vow, you give your word. Your word, you know, it's like an oath. The vow means a promise, a pledge, a oath. This was pretty good. Word of honor. When you give a vow. The book of Ecclesiastes, this is where Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verses 4 and 5. Verse 4 says, when you make a vow to God, don't delay on paying it, for he has no pleasure in fools. Pay what you owe or what you vowed. See that? You know, you ever make a promise to God and don't come through? He says, don't do it, for he has no pleasure in a fool or fools. Don't be a fool. Verse 5 says, it's better not to vow than to vow and not pay. That's pretty crazy, huh? Don't say you're going to do something and don't come through with it. Or you borrow some money from somebody. I'll pay you on the 1st or the 15th, or in 10 days. I'll be there. You know, the check's in the mail. Yeah, right. Go hand it to him. Give him a phone call. Say, this came up. But sooner or later, those people are going to get tired of those excuses that you're making. So don't say you're going to come through with something and don't come through with it. That just makes them more mad. And that's all I'm getting right now, but, you know, about certain things. But you know what I mean. Also in the book of Ecclesiastes 7:1, it says, a good name is better than precious ointment or better than fine perfume. That's how your name should be. Proverbs 22:1 says, a good name is chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver or gold. That's pretty crazy. Loving favor rather than silver and gold. If you got a good name, that's how good it's going to be. And again, those of us that say we're Christians should always give a sweet smelling aroma. Paul says, the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verses 15 and 16, Paul writes in verse 15, we are to God the aroma of Christ among those who are being saved. Verse 16, to the one we are the smell of death, to the other a fragrance of life. So which are you? The fragrance of life or the smell of death. When people hear your name, what will come to their mind, or should I say, what will come to their nose? Like, oh man, here comes that guy. You know, when you walk into a room, do you bring a good presence with you? Or everybody puts their head down and says, man, who invited this guy? Or who invited these people? Because that stink or that stench goes with you. And you that are Christians, does that happen to you? Do people do that? The Bible said that we need to be a sweet smelling aroma to God, not only to God, but to each other. So I'm asking you, when you get in the presence of people, is it a good aroma or is it a bad? Is it the stench of death or the aroma of death? You know, death doesn't smell good. Life does. So be a good fragrance. Take a bath, take a shower, do some deodorant. Be a good, sweet smelling aroma to people when they hear your name or when you walk into a room. Say, man, I like that guy. He's got something about him or something about her. I like to be around them. So again, in closing, how good is your name? How good is your word? That's something to chew on. Amen. God bless you.